Vishesh Chandok also joining us, CEO Grant Thornton. He's with us tonight to give us a perspective on some of those conversations as well. Geeta, let's put that question to him. Vishesh, thanks for joining us. What are your key takeaways coming in from the commentary that's coming out of those meetings? A lot of the CEOs talking, particularly Qualcomm and Amon, talking about, yes, looking at India as a manufacturing hub and also one for global exports. We've had discussions on the liberal drone policy and looking at perhaps also that sector more closely going forward. We also had some commentary come in on that, and the PLI schemes have been a big hit. But like Geeta said, intent or action, what can we expect?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, thank you for having me here, Hava. Good to see you after a long time. I think wonderful to see the intent behind the visit. I think it's unprecedented for a Prime Minister to meet business leaders one-on-one like he's done. It's usually meeting state leaders like that and a round table at best, a breakfast session with CEOs, and it was delightful to see those one-on-one interactions with CEOs. Clearly, we know our Prime Minister means business, and he's got a script to talk about, to sort of back that.
Yes, Anjani Kumar also joining us, partner at Deloitte. Anjani, great to have you with us. Let me get your perspective, referring to some of the challenges perhaps that US companies still find in India. What would be top of that list? The government has taken a lot of steps to try and improve the ease of doing business. We've seen some critical reforms as well over the last few weeks and months. What could really help to draw further investment in?
Thanks for inviting me to the show, Abha, and a very good evening to you and your viewers. I think we've recently done a survey with about 300 senior US executives of MNC firms, and one of the things that comes across as the challenge that they see in investing in India is what they call institutional stability. So predictability of taxation, predictability of regulatory reforms, judicial redressal system, the time that it takes for judiciary to take action. I think that is the single most important impediment that we've heard US executives talk about investments in India. And if you look at the positive side, the thing that attracts most is the growth that the Indian economy offers and the skill sets that we have. So that's something that they are doing a trade-off against with respect to the institutional stability versus the growth and the opportunity to take a disproportionate share of the Indian consumer mindset.
Got it. Vishesh, it was interesting the mix of CEOs that he met addressing segments like telecom, digital India, whether it's manufacturing, solar, defense, very key segments of industry that were handpicked and selected this time around. Again, what is the kind of potential of investments you foresee when it comes to some of these pockets? Blackstone, Stephen Schwarzman talking about how they've already invested 60 billion and, the numbers are going to be as huge over the next 5. Qualcomm also a significant player here.
Stephen Schwarzman was one of the last CEOs I met before we went into lockdown. I remember on his visit to India. I think it's a very carefully picked lot of diverse industries, also industries where he's got, what I was just saying before we concluded the last segment, a very good script, a very good story to talk about, right? Our renewables investments grown from 26 gigawatts in 2015 to over 100 gigawatts now. Well, it's well on its way to 450 gigawatts by 2030. The telecom, very good story again. The government going against the script with what they've done for the industry. Of course, extremely critical for rolling out that digital India aspiration in our country. And he talks about that strategic clean energy partnership that he wants to achieve on this trip. He talks about that emerging tech collaboration that he wants to further with this trip. I think the main agenda of this trip will be to establish that personal relationship. I think business can be done once you have that personal relationship. This is the first in-person contact with the new president. There are many geopolitical strategic issues to discuss, and I think that will be central to his agenda on this trip. And once we start discussing that with this shift post the pandemic, geography is now history, as somebody once famously said. Geography is now history, and now is the opportunity to actually think about how can those high value jobs happened from India. And we're already seeing that at Grant Thornton. Many of our high-value jobs now we are executing from India versus the traditional thinking of needing people spread in local offices and geographies.